Well, hi there, friends. Welcome to Nonprofit Tech for Good in Austin. I'm Eli. I'm the NetSquared Community Manager, and I work for TechSoup. This group is actually one of a global network of Tech for Good meetups. There's about 120 of them scattered across the globe. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Check this map out. So each one of those dots means they have a Carolyn and a team of Carolyns. They're in that city, busily bringing together the nonprofit technology community, making sure that people like you have a place to come to for advice, for like sometimes just to vent because maybe you're frustrated with your boss, or a place for you to show off the cool things you do. Like all communities, we have some rules. First of all, we welcome everyone. Two, we really put community first. We're here to support each other as much as showing off is super fun, and I like that too. We're also here to build stronger nonprofits. Technology is the tool, the lens we look at through, but really it's all about the nonprofits we work with. And then we invite your participation. We want to put you to work. So get there into the chat. Tell us where you're from, about your organization. We'd love to hear more from you. And if you've got a fabulous event idea, don't be shy. Please share. And finally, we treat each other with kindness and respect, which means before you get too crazy in that chat bubble, just think for yourself for a moment and say, am I bringing my kindest, most empathetic self? And if you are, go for it, because we trust you. As I said, we totally need your help. Maybe you're a fabulous note taker and you want to do some live note taking for this event. Maybe you want to be one of the chat moderators. Maybe you've got a great event idea. Again, please reach out to Carolyn and she'll help you out. So as I said, I work for TechSoup, and what TechSoup is a nonprofit that helps other nonprofits like you get access to hardware and software and services. What TechSoup has done is partner with about 120 of the largest technology companies, everyone from Zoom, the space we're in right now, to Dell, to Microsoft, to Google, to Adobe. Name a company, and TechSoup has probably partnered with them to make sure that they can scale their discount and in-kind donation programs. So just to give you a sense of what your free TechSoup account could do if you're not yet a member, here's me putting together a bit of a bundle that could serve a nonprofit with 10 staff. And as you can see, I try and mock out a little bit of what the savings could look like. It's pretty great considering your TechSoup membership is free. So if you are looking for technology, start with TechSoup and then continue your journey if you don't find it there with us. Carolyn's going to tell you all about the amazing events. All I can say is that she has shamed everyone else in that network of 120 groups. Nobody else has scheduled themselves all the way through basically to the end of 2021. She's amazing. And with that, let me send you back to Carolyn. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Wave those hands.
All right, I'm going to screen share here. Here we go. Share from the beginning. Thanks for coming, and thanks for being a part of our tech club this year. Here we go. Come on. There we go. We've had a really great year. As you know, we got COVID this year, and we had been meeting at Capital Factory, and Capital Factory has remained a sponsor, but we started to meet on Zoom, and that actually meant that our visitorship and participation increased. So we feel very lucky about that, and Eli provided the Zoom link each time, and he's helped us get set up with our talks. So we really appreciate that. But anyway, it's as Eli alluded, we're kind of a hybrid. We're part of a network of tech clubs across the nation and the world. So we're N10 is one of our co-sponsors, and NetSquared, a division of TechSoup Global, is one. So with N10, we get some national coverage, and with NetSquared, we get even greater coverage all over the world, and we love that. And our programs are free to all, of course. So please spread the word. We'd love to have more members of our club and more people participating and all that. This year, we've been really lucky. We've had HEB has been our principal sponsor actually this year. And if you are on our Facebook group page, please have a look at the letter. I did a report to them today and let them know what we had done this year with their sponsorship. And it's really a nice recap of our year. Capital Factory has continued to put our Tech Club meetings on their weekly and monthly calendars online, and to promote us everywhere. They're really super helpful, and hopefully we'll get to go see them again someday. We're gonna have to wait for the vaccine for COVID. So, and Trianon Coffee has been a sponsor for several years, providing our speaker gifts. Stacy Dyer, big high five. We've really appreciated that a lot. So it's been great. This is our 2020 heroes list. So there you go. And also, I just want to provide these links so you can see. If you're not on Facebook, please join there. I actually did just share this live broadcast on there now. And mostly in terms of volunteering, if you'd like to be helpful, we just want people to share information about the events on social media and try and get as many people interested as possible. Today, I was speaking to Texas Representative Vicki Goodwin, who I actually live on the western side of Austin, where that's the area she's representing. And I asked her to spread the word about our tech club too. So we'd love to do that. Now, I did want to just say, in terms of welcoming Erika of Chive Charities today, that I actually got to know Chive Charities from a prior tech club program by Giving Docs, which had done a great presentation about planned giving and campaigns for specific nonprofits. And Chive Charities just knocked the ball out of the court in terms of getting planned gifts. I mean, it was like so many millions of dollars of planned gifts in the future. I was so impressed with that. So I had been watching them for a long time. I thought, gosh, I really need to know more about this. So I got so excited one day this year, I became a monthly donor. So I'm getting all the information, and I'm on the fireside chats, and I get to meet the people who received the money and learn how they changed their lives. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let Erika share her screen now and start her program. But it's a nice way to end the year. This is a nonprofit that's done well with or without COVID. It doesn't matter. They just keep going. And so it's a inspirational program today, but also really educational about how they do that. So Erika, to you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Carolyn. That's so nice. We're so honored that you're in our donor family, and it's so fun to hear about how you came to us. Yep, like you said, Chive Charities has managed to find growth in 2020, which is pretty remarkable. I'm going to start with just 5 minutes of one of our videos. I think it will just capture the spirit of what we do and who we are before we dive into the presentation portion. So I will share my screen, just one moment.
It's stories that make us human, but it's all together. And that's why we're all here. The Chive is a community. And why are a great community? Because we're by a charitable spirit. When we're reviewing recipients, sometimes you hear a story that stops the room in its tracks. I remember Mark had served in the Navy. He had been a police officer for 18 years. They had 2. Bobby had found out stage 4 breast cancer.
She's in a lot of pain with her back, her ribs and her hips, and narrows in her lungs. It's just hard for her to get in and out of the shower. On the phone one day, and noticed if she ever felt it could be, she would have to walk again, because her bones in her back are so weak.
For 23 years, Bobby's been there for me. In 23 years, we never yelled or screamed at each other. We'd always kiss each other before laying our heads down on the pillow. And every night we told each other, I love you. And every day I pray to God to give me cancer so she could. Mark and Bobby's is just one of hundreds of stories we receive a year from people and families who are facing unbelievable tragedy.
So Sophia was a very healthy 2.5 particular cold. She woke up one day and said, Mommy, I can't walk.
And the stories we receive range everywhere from medical nightmares to natural disasters.
It got black. The sky just got black and the smoke was just choking.
No, not today.
They was telling me, he was going to die shortly after birth, and he's not going to be able to breathe. So I was terrified.
I had just heard the word atrophy.
He just walk, she'll never have a normal life, and then you're painting this like no hope picture. It was very scary.
These stories, they're not cases. These are people.
Am I going to lose him? Is he going to be okay? What are we facing? And nobody could give us any answers on anything.
Rare medical, kind of strictly defined as condition, disease, disorder that less than 3% of the general population has ever heard of. I write of that funded well.
We can't get any type of assistance for her, so I was just looking for more.
Van's DNA doesn't reproduce or repair correctly, so anything off his
SMA kids, their breathing muscles are just weak, so anytime she could be 30 days on a ventilator because her lungs collapsed from the secretions due to pneumonia.
For many of these recipients, life is spent in and out of hospitals or driving to doctor's appointments.
Roads put right onto her brain, and she's for a week with it in her head while they watched the seizures happen.
He would be in ICU 3-4 weeks at a time, and he would bring himself around, and 3 or 4 months we back at where we start.
These are the outliers, are the underdogs. They're Rosalind with half a brain in Sydney, Ohio.
Machine. I have to wear it always at night because my brain can't tell me to breathe.
She stops breathing about 100 times a night without the machine.
There's Bettini, who's beaten cancer 5 times.
I'm prone to blood cancers, breast cancer, brain cancer, which are just very people who have Lee-Fraumeni syndrome, which is what I have.
These underdogs are like in the wind all over the country.
Cancer is not something that you could, because so often we feel like that we're alone in this and that there's no one else that
Needing to overcome feelings of isolation and hopelessness.
I gave up. I was in that much pain. It was that in my human body fight anymore.
I distinctly remember saying it's time accepting that this thing is potentially the end. And there were 2 of them there at the time, and I just said, "You're fired, and you're fired."
And it might not be until all 4 walls are closing in around you that they finally reach out for help. And when they do reach out, they share their stories with us. When we tell their story, the recipient gets to see themselves in a different light altogether. We want them to feel like.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. Let me stop sharing the screen. Brian Mercedes, our executive director, is on the meeting, and he's built Chive Charities from the ground up. And I think I can speak for you, Brian, when you watch that video, and we've seen it a million times probably, and so many different iterations of it, and it still gives me chills. It's pretty unbelievable. Okay, so I'm going to head into the presentation. I hope that gave you a sense of who we are and the impact that we have. It's a long video, so just chose to share a little bit of it. Okay, can y'all see the presentation? Okay, wonderful. Okay, I'm going to start with our mission. So for those who have lost their voice, we provide a megaphone. For those who have lost independence, we restore their freedom. For those who have lost all hope, Chive Charities works tirelessly to build them a better future. We support veterans, first responders, and rare medical diagnoses with life-changing grants, and we spread awareness through sharing the personal stories of grit, courage, and never giving up. You heard John Resig, the founder of the Chive, in that video say that, you know, we share these stories. These men and women and families and children, they come to us. We're a lot of the time the last door that they're knocking on. And one of the ways that we support them beyond giving them a life-changing grant is sharing their story, using their story to inspire support for their cause. And it's truly a gift to them. As an individual, I mean, imagine reading your story so beautifully put together by our content manager. It really makes them feel like a hero, and they are heroes to us. We kind of call them our superheroes. At our annual Green Galas, we tell them to come dressed up as superheroes, and it's so special for us to connect with them, and so special for our donors to connect with them. To date, we've helped over 400 causes with $15 million in aid. We hit the 15 million mark just recently, a couple weeks ago. We've covered renovation projects, wheelchair accessible vehicles. This year alone, we will have donated 26 wheelchair accessible vehicles. So that's more than 2 a month. They range from $40,000 to $60,000. So we call ourselves the Oprah of ADA accessible vehicles. We cover medical and therapy equipment, service dogs, and impactful experiences. And we're really proud that for every dollar donated to us, 80 cents goes directly to programmatic impact. That's a number that we're committed to, and hopefully we will continue to raise. Every week we give one of these grants. So that makes us very, very different. Typically a nonprofit organization, they have a cause, it can be very compelling, you know, and they might be sharing information with their donors on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis. We're sharing our stories every single week. That story is shining a light on our recipient, an individual with a rare medical diagnosis, a veteran, a first responder, or a nonprofit organization that supports one of those 3 populations. Not only do we share those stories on chivecharities.org, which is our website, but we also share it on the Chive. This is our megaphone. The stories are truly what we call the heartbeat of our mission. You know, our recipients share their stories, and in doing so, they solidify their place in the community that is Chive Nation. Chive Nation was born out of the Chive. So the online community activated offline and has since mobilized to support our mission with millions of dollars. They call it partying hard for a purpose, and they do it really, really well. And they connect directly with our recipients across the United States. When it comes to the content that we share, Chive Nation engages meaningfully and without hesitation. And that really, again, is something else that sets us apart from other nonprofit organizations. Our community just continues to astound us. Our community is exactly why we're in this position at the end of 2020, a year that has seen a global pandemic that is still going strong, in addition to, you know, social unrest. In January 2020, the Chive had over 12 million visitors globally. That's $387,000 daily. So you think about our stories on the Chive and how many people are learning about these rare medical conditions, learning about these causes that we're so passionate about helping. I have a sort of snapshot of the social media numbers there, and it's a pretty incredible platform that we have to share our stories and to inspire people to give and to engage. So here's a graphic that kind of captures it all. So 2020, the year that turned the world upside down. The pandemic has left no one untouched. In September, it was reported that nearly 100,000 establishments that temporarily shut down due to the pandemic are now out of business. If economic trends continue at this rate, 1 in 5 business owners anticipates they will not make it to the end of this year. Another report estimated that 1/3 of nonprofit organizations may not survive the pandemic-driven recession. So what does that mean? Our donors are a part of the American workforce. They're business owners and workers, and our ability to sustain our work greatly depends on their monthly and one-time donations. At the beginning of this pandemic, we had so many sleepless nights and many hours spent reviewing the annual budget. Brian and I would get on the phone, Jen and I would get on the phone. What are we going to do? How are we going to get through this? It was that sort of weight in your stomach kind of feeling about, we're so passionate about what we do. Our recipients count on us. They count on us to get them the help that they need. And we were very worried that we weren't going to be able to help them in the way that we had promised. So our minds immediately went there, right? How do we mitigate these potential losses? How do we stay afloat? How many cancellations should we anticipate? And how will the decreased revenue impact the help we're able to provide our recipients who so desperately need us now more than ever? This gives you a snapshot of why, right? 75% of our revenue comes from monthly donors. We've done a really good job of diversifying our revenue, but our monthly giving program is our bread and butter. And it sets us apart from other nonprofits, but we rely on that heavily. So what do? We needed to prioritize what was important. We embraced the worry, we put our heads down, and we identified 4 key priorities. 1, retention. We needed to focus on stewarding our current donors and put less focus on acquiring new ones. Everybody in the nonprofit business knows that retaining donors is a whole lot easier than acquiring a new donor. It's always important to have growth in your strategy. But when it came to the pandemic, we were seeing a lot of people wanting to donate to COVID-19 relief efforts, to Black Lives Matter, and organizations supporting that. So we didn't want to get into that space. We wanted to retain, and stay true to who we are. Connection. We want to find new ways to connect our donors to the people who need them the most, our recipients. Number 3, partnership. Identify like-minded brands who are passionate about our work and curate opportunities to share audiences and networks and promote campaigns and products that will serve and grow our communities. Really important. And lastly, authenticity. Hold tight to who we are, who we help, and be transparent to our family of support. All right, retention, the most important of the priorities. The average retention rate for a nonprofit organization hovers around 45%. That's not in 2020. That's not, the age of pandemic that we're living in right now. This is across the board. We've been hovering around 45% for years. When it comes to retention, we know that donors keep giving when, 1, they perceive the organization to be effective and receive information regarding who is being helped. 2, they receive a timely thank you and feel their involvement is appreciated. And 3, they are given the opportunity to make their views known. At Chive Charities, we are ending 2020 with a retention rate of over 97%. Unbelievable. How? So through the recipient stories that we share every week, we tie the donations from our donors to real human impact. So Carolyn becomes a donor, and now she sees where her money is going every single week, sometimes 2 times a week. Seeing that impact is so important. When a donor downgrades versus canceling, we send them a handwritten thank you card. Jen and I pull the reports. If somebody, was giving $100 a month and we see that they downgraded to $50, we sit down, we write them a handwritten card. We are so grateful for you. We are humbled that you have continued to choose us in a year that has been so challenging for so many. We want them to know that whether you're giving $5, $10, $100, or $200 a month, you mean so much to us. We value you so much. Every week, our development team sends friendly text messages to inactive donors who may need to update their payment information, and to new donors when they sign up for a membership. So Jen is the rock star of this on our development team. She connects with donors who are coming through the door every week. If she sees that their credit card was maybe changed and needs a little upgrade, she will let them know. And it's so incredible to have that one-on-one communication. Something that's really interesting about Chive Charities, if I respond directly to somebody, whether it's in Instagram DMs or over email, there's like a certain level of shock that our donors have, or a supporter has, when we connect with them directly. We are a small nonprofit organization. We are not a massive organization. I think sometimes being connected to the Chive gives off the feeling that we may be, huge, and answering them is not a top priority. So we've really prioritized that one-on-one communication. We want to put a face to a name. We don't just want you connecting with support@chivecharities.org. We want you to know Jen and know Brian and know Erika. So that's been hugely effective for us. And lastly, we survey our donors to learn more about what they want from us, and we deliver. This year, we launched a new giving level for donors who wanted to contribute more every month. Again, sort of remarkable, but what we've learned this year is that while some people have been hit really hard by the pandemic and they cannot give, others want to give more and they feel compelled to be more charitable. And those people have come to Chive Charities and they have answered that call. They have signed up for our platinum level of giving, which is $200+ a month. And we were able to engage 157 new and upgraded donors to date. We're going to be working on growing that in 2021. So here's a graph. You can see our month-over-month donor retention. Now you'll see these two dips, right? Well, this is capturing 94.5% to 98.5% of retention. So again, remember that number, that average number of 45%. This is 94.5% and above, and we're trending up. So very exciting. 4 of our 5 top performing retention months in our 8-year history have happened between February 2020 and December 2020. Connection. In an effort to connect our donors to our Chive Charities recipients, we launched a new program. Carolyn has come as a guest to some of these fireside chats. With 5 now under our belt, we can see how important it is for our donors to not only read about the impact of their monthly donations in our weekly stories, but to see them and to hear about the impact directly from the recipient. We continue to apply this insight to our day-to-day, always keeping the question, how can we involve our donors top of mind? As a result, we've found new exciting ways to involve our donors. We invite them to help hand deliver grant items to our recipients. We call on them to write cards to our recipients who are fighting for their lives in the hospital. This happened 2 weeks ago, and DJ was in the hospital fighting for his life and received hundreds of cards. We connect them in unique, meaningful ways. Just this coming Sunday, we're going to have Isaiah's new van delivered in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we have the local Chive Nation chapter riding along, and they're going to be a part of that van delivery, in addition to members from or employees from Stratacash, who is the partner, the matching partner for our Giving Tuesday campaign. Partnership. In 2020, we've launched co-branded sandals for summer and bracelets for Veterans Day. We've launched socks with a 1-to-1 donation to active duty military members. We launched 2 sock designs today. They're great and they would go wonderfully with your tree, Carolyn, or in a stocking as a stuffer. We've engaged the Chive's e-com entity in a meaningful way, helping to promote their Make a Donation to Chive Charities button at checkout. That has resulted in over $300,000 of revenue this year for us. We've launched affiliate programs with B2C partners, with portions of their sales supporting our cause in long-term sustainable ways. So we're seeing those checks come in every few months. And we've engaged our grant partners in new ways, requesting discounts on our items for recipients in exchange for promotion of their brand. That's been huge for us this year. So if we're working with an organization who is giving therapy sessions to one of our recipients, we had an organization in Florida discount it by $4,000. That covers a whole month of therapy for one of our recipients named Kaylin. So really exciting stuff. And it's one of those things where you realize, why haven't we been doing this the last 5 years? If you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. So we decided to ask, and amazingly, we've received yeses over and over again, saving us thousands and thousands of dollars on our grants. Okay, last priority, authenticity. Our success relies on our community, the community that inspired the launch of our organization over 8 years ago. We cannot do our work without them, and our awareness of that helps drive how we move forward, how we evolve, and how we grow. Through 2020, we've had to pivot. We've had to make moments of pause. We've had to take moments of pause to think about how our community, our donors, our recipients, and our followers have all been affected by the events of this year. And we've had to reflect on the way our organization operates and identify areas where we can do better and commit to that mentality of growth now and into the future. We've had to make changes, but we've done it in a way that honors our original mission to help the underdogs. Many organizations have had to pivot in ways that have changed their mission altogether, sometimes as an answer to a new idea and sometimes out of necessity to stay afloat. We've seen a lot of that this year. At Chive Charities, we've held tight to who we are while also being transparent with our family of support. We've told them over and over again, we need you, our recipients need you, and we're in this together. When our donors look for monthly expenses to cut, our success this year proves that they value us enough to keep us. And for those donors who want to give more, they've chosen to give more to us. They've answered our call. So I think the big takeaway there is to be bold. Be bold in your call to action, be bold in communicating what you need and what you want. Today, we are having a conversation about end of year giving. We've always sort of shied away from that. We think, gosh, there's so much noise during the end of the year, and we're worried about our donors having donor fatigue. We've asked so much of them this year, but the reality is that the last 3 days of the year are the most charitable in the United States. Billions of dollars are donated in those last 3 days of the year. So what are we missing out on? We need our donors. We need to keep growing. This is not us just needing more money. It's us seeing that there are recipients out there that are, worthy of a Chive Charities grant, and we have to say no to them. So in 2020, we want to continue to grow. We want to continue to grow the number of yeses we can say to these incredible recipients who inspire us every single week. Here are just 4 quotes from our donors and recipients. It just sort of captures the spirit of our community and how they engage with Chive Charities, what it means to them to be a donor, what it means to them to be on the recipient side. Joel, one of our donors, said, there are so many people that are overlooked in this world that could use a helping hand, and I've been glad to help the underdogs through Chive Charities. Our recipient, Kelly, the donor's kindness and their ability to think of and help others have given me hope again. You'll see that's mom and dad and little DJ, and he's the one who was fighting for his life in the hospital just 2 weeks ago. We didn't know that he was going to make it out of the hospital. In fact, the doctors told Kelly that she needed to be prepared that he would not come out of the hospital and that he might likely pass. But we put the call out to our community. We asked them to send cards and prayers, and he is home and smiling again. And it is so remarkable. I think if there's one word that I'm going to overuse in this presentation and in my life the next couple of weeks, it's going to be remarkable. Debbie Heaton said, if we could shout to the mountaintops to all the supporters of Chive Charities, we would shout, thank you, Chive Charities, for helping our family. God bless you. And then lastly, Jason, another one of our donors, said, when I see our recipients, I am utterly humbled and every petty grievance in life disappears. For every member of our team and for a lot of people in our community, I think that we feel the same way. We wake up every morning so devoted to the work that we're doing, so in awe of both our recipients and our donors, the donors that make our work possible. And it's sort of impossible to complain about your life. We all work for an organization that we love and that we're passionate about. And we get to see our impact grow in a year that was seemingly impossible to do so. So where are we now? As of last week, we have hit an all-time high for active monthly donors. Our monthly subscription revenue eclipses 1.5 million annually, and our annual revenue is up 7% year over year, making 2020 one of our strongest grant impact years in our history. Where we've seen losses in projected revenue, because we have seen losses, it hasn't all been remarkable. There have been a lot of losses. You know, one of the ways that we bring in revenue to Chive Charities are events. We've had to cancel our big Green Gala event that was heartbreaking to do. Chive Nation puts on events for us all throughout the year, bringing in, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, and those haven't been able to happen. But where we've seen those losses, we've made up for 1 to 2 times with new revenue driving campaigns and programs. We are wrapping up the year with a handful of campaigns that will continue to support our recipients and engage our donors. Plans for the future. The last few weeks of the year, we focused on goal setting. We've done so well in 2020, but there's no guarantee for the future. We are putting our heads down, our hands together. We're working in collaboration to continue our success. We will find new ways to retain donors, acquire new ones, connect our donors to our recipients and their impact, and partner with companies who will help us grow. We will do it all with a spirit of humility, gratitude, and a steadfast commitment to our mission. We're truly ready for 2021, but we're not going to get lazy. We want to make sure that we continue to be creative and that we meet our donors where they are and that we continue to help more recipients. So this is the video link. I believe Carolyn is going to share the presentation as a follow-up, and so you can click through to that full video that's a little over 10 minutes. Our Chive Charities YouTube also has our fireside chats on there if you want to check that out, and we hope to do more of those in 2021. But just want to say a big thank you for the opportunity to share about what we do, and open to answering any questions. Brian is on the call too, and I'm sure can answer questions as the leader of our organization. But yeah, that's all I got. We're so grateful. We're so grateful for this year, and so humbled by everything we've been able to accomplish.
It's really so inspiring. Yay. You know, this is something from I'm just a modest donor, monthly donor, but I think what's nice about supporting Chive Charities is, you know, you see a lot of posts on Facebook and these emergencies and GoFundMe's and, you know, save this person, you know, and you don't know whether to trust those or not. And so the whole vetting system that you have in applying for a Chive grant for support is a great comfort to people who really are taken by those stories and those needs, but who are a little afraid of just throwing money out at somebody they don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's a really nice mechanism to bring it in together.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I think it can also be very challenging. You know, we were looking through some direct messages today about, you know, very, you know, worthy people asking for our support. And we have to make sure they know that we're not set up to do emergency relief. Our grant cycle can take 6 months. And it can take weeks to, you know, put your application together, send it in, have it reviewed, have it vetted. It's so very important to us that our donor dollars are going to the right people, the people who need those dollars the most. So I'm so glad to hear that, Carolyn, especially as a donor. It means a lot to me and my family. We donate to Chive Charities. We believe in the mission of Chive Charities so much, and we want to make sure that the money's going to the right people.
You know, I wonder, do you probably anticipate to see some COVID impacted applications for grants coming in? Have you had any yet?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because we've stayed true to our mission. We're helping the medical space, veterans and first responders. What we have seen are recipients and family members that have lost their jobs due to COVID. So that's been a big piece of the puzzle for some of our applicants. But, a lot of our applicants are medically fragile, and they sort of live their life in a quarantine style that we are not used to. This is all very unfamiliar to us, to have to stay home, to shelter in place, to wear masks everywhere we go. That's the norm for a lot of our recipients. So I think we maybe even anticipated to see more of like COVID impacted applicants come in, but there hasn't been that big of an uptick.
Yeah. Maybe, next year, you'll see some of that. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will say Isaiah, who was our Giving Tuesday recipient just last week, who's getting his van next weekend, his family applied, and they were, a little bit shy about applying for a grant. They're always thinking about other families before themselves. And should we really be the ones that are applying? And do we really need it? And COVID hit, dad lost his job. They're a single income family. They so desperately needed a way to get Isaiah around with his power wheelchair. And so, that was part of their application. And we were so thrilled to be able to connect him to that campaign and give them a big, giant, yes, we can help you.
Yeah. When I think the first fireside chat, I was, I get distracted with work and all that. And so I thought, I really need to look at this fireside chat or participate in that, and meet the recipient and kind of see what's going on, touch base. And I got on there and it was like, well, that's it. I mean, it's so compelling, you're just like hooked forever. It's like, oh my God, imagine, put yourself in the shoes of this person. And you really understand the role that Chive is playing and how deeply appreciative they are. But their stories are just, they do make you feel pretty humble and lucky, no matter how hard your life has been. It doesn't compare to some of these recipients, and so that I really like that. And I do talk to some of the nonprofits I work with, and I said, you need to communicate, like, sort of using Chive as an example, what impact are you having? Let's get real about it and talk about it and talk about your needs, talk about your progress, talk whatever. But the whole COVID situation driving people online to video conferencing, for nonprofits in some regards, that's a good lesson for them to learn how to communicate remotely on video conferencing. I mean, I hate to say that because some of them hate it, but basically it can be done really effectively and well, so congratulations for all that. And also on the major Plan Giving program with Giving Dogs. I thought that was just the best story. I'm always trying to promote Plan Giving, and it's just a topic people are don't want to focus on, generally speaking.
It's the one that we've had trouble with messaging around it too. It's a tough, we call it legacy giving on our website, and we do, I will say, just to be perfectly frank, we struggle. How do we promote that on social media and try and engage people to include us in their wills? So that has been difficult, but it's so important, and we feel like it is a great way to connect with people, to connect with donors and people who might be interested in leaving something behind for us. And I'm so glad that that's what drew you in, because we haven't heard so much of that. And it gives us a little boost to go, you know what, we need to put some more focus on that Giving Docs story and maybe share it more in 2021.
Well, I hate to say it, but I admit I've been around a while, and I've always liked the idea of Plan Giving because it's sort of the ultimate charitable commitment, But during COVID, I was one of the few people who was sharing information about Nolo Press, Quicken Will Maker, LegalZoom, and just saying, look, these COVID things happen. Somebody's there one day and the next day they're gone, and your family's thrown in the lurch and the government comes in to take all the estate, it's just horrible. So if you pitch it as, you have the chance to care for your loved ones, to protect them from federal incursion really into your assets, and to help a charity and worthy causes like Chive. So there are some ways to do it, but it's I think the trick there might be or not trick really, but just professional advisors. Like maybe there's a way to link up with the professional advising community, because it's actually been called upon more than ever. As you know, with donor advised funds, a lot of nonprofits don't really like donor advised funds because it kind of puts a wedge between the donor and the charity, but it's just reality that it's going to be that way for a while. It's just growing, and professional advisors are being called upon to help donors make wise decisions in giving. So I'm just sorry to brainstorm and bore everyone, but
no, that's wonderful. I'm sort of looking at Brian like, okay, noted. We're going to tap into that professional networks phase, the advisors. Yeah. I think that's a wonderful idea. And you're right. Yeah. Donor advised funds can be tricky. We had a donor that had his own donor advised fund for a couple of years, and Brian would call him and he'd be somewhere skiing in the Alps or, in a helicopter somewhere, and we could never quite nail him down. And so that's been a challenge, although we do see the huge benefit of donor advised funds. There's a lot of money in donor advised funds, and a lot of people with a lot of money are creating them to make their charitable giving a lot easier. So that's definitely something that we're.
Do you have the DAF Direct widget on your website somewhere? Maybe if you go on the DAF Direct website, which is approved, by Fidelity Charitable, the biggest of the big donor advised funds, but you basically you can get the widget. You have to search and on GuideStars connected to it, and it'll come up and go, oh, here's Chive Charities, and then you can download the code and put it on your website. So then these donors now have apps on their iPhones, so they can go to your page and see DF Direct, so they can plug in and they know exactly it's going right to Chive because they located it on GuideStar in there. And then they can connect their donor advised fund. So they're real fun and easy capabilities that kind of help donors route money through their donor advised funds to you. And the DAF Direct widget is one of those. So you might think of it, just a thought. Brian.
Yeah, that's a wonderful note. Going into 2021, we are thinking more about major gifts and those sort of higher level donors. You look at our monthly giving, we're over 3,000 monthly donors. And it's those smaller monthly amounts, which ends up being massive for us. Mm-hmm. We haven't tapped into the major gift space so much. We have a handful of donors who we would put into that category, but we are looking to grow that in a variety of ways in 2021. Mm-hmm. We are launching what we're calling the Hero Fund, which is going to help offset our operational expenses in a way that will increase the money that will go to programs. Mm-hmm. So we can raise an additional $450,000 every year to cover operational through private donations. Then we could get to that 100% model where instead of 80 cents on the dollar is going to a programmatic cause, 100% of that dollar is going to the cause. So you don't see many nonprofits able to claim that. In fact, I can only think of one or two that are able to do that currently, but we have our eyes on that. It's a long-term strategy of ours. And donor advised funds and those private donors who can give a bigger dollar amount is definitely of interest to us, and we'll be leaning heavily into that.
Well, okay. Does anybody, I don't see any other questions. If you have them, post them, but otherwise I'm gonna, Eli Vandergiesen, whom you met at the first of our talk with TechSoup, is he has Erika's slide deck, and he'll be putting that on the NetSquared SlideShare page.
Hey, Carolyn.
And we will be putting the recording in a few days on the NetSquared YouTube channel. And then those links will go back to the original event listing on our webpage. And you can, as you know, on all those, if you scroll to the bottom, you can pull up that listing. Here is Erika about Chive. And you can watch the program. You can download the slides right from that page. So that'll be active in a day or two. So, but any other comments or thoughts or?
Yeah, Carolyn, can I jump in real quick?
Yes.
Hi, friends. I would turn on my camera, but I don't know if you want to see what I look like right now at 7:30. It's been a day, but I'm curious, how can we support you as an organization? If not connect you to donors or social media, or what can we do to help y'all out moving forward?
That is a wonderful question. And thank you so much for thinking about that. There are a number of ways that you can support us. Like Carolyn, if you'd like to become a donor, you can absolutely do so through one-time donation or a monthly donation. You just go to chivecharities.org/donate. But you know, something that really helps us is just sharing our stories. Sharing about our organization. You know, we have a story that we publish every single week, sometimes twice a week, like I said. All of those stories go on our social media pages. So we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're sharing, you know, some different kind of content on LinkedIn. Also so great for you to engage there. So we're always looking for engagement, sharing, telling people about Chive Charities, what we do, who we are. That's a really great way to support us. It doesn't necessarily have a financial commitment to it. Brian, any other ways they can support us? We have socks that just went live today. You can buy socks.
Yay.
That's something that's huge. You know, get it for your mom, your uncle. We have a couple of co-branded you know, merch plays that are still going. We have a bracelet that is made out of UXO from Vietnam. You know, we're cleaning up some of those unexploded devices in Vietnam with combat flip-flops. So that's going to be on our holiday gift guide that's also going to be launching this week. So it's those small little things that always help us with sharing and engaging. And then on the other side, becoming a donor.
And if you work, I mean, a lot of you guys are, I'm assuming, out of Austin, and you work for companies that are like-minded and mission driven, and would like to open up a conversation as to, you know, maybe partnering up and, you know, helping us improve our impact. You know, we're always open to that. So definitely hit up Erika.
Yeah, absolutely. We just had, if you saw our Giving Tuesday campaign last week, the company StrataCash, they're out of Ohio. They're one of our most impactful partners. They did a $25,000 match, which was tremendous. And what we saw from that is that it incited bigger donations from those one-time donors, many of whom had never donated to Chive Charities before. So that was huge for us. So like Brian said, any, you know, company that you think is interested in, you know, developing their corporate social responsibility program, and they're looking for a really impactful organization who can tie their dollars to real tangible impact. We're, you know, the shining star of that. We can do that really, really well. And that's why StrataCash has, you know, they've stuck with us now. We're going into year 3. It was really important for them in building out their CSR program that they were supporting an organization who could really show the impact. Okay, we want to sponsor 3 recipients in 2020. We want to cover their grants. We want to be able to communicate that to our employees. And in doing so, they feel like they're able to keep the best talent at their company. They said, we can, you know, provide good jobs all day to our employees, but if they don't feel like we're doing good and we're committed to, you know, helping our community and being philanthropic, then we're not going to keep the best talent. So love that mentality that their CEO, Chris Rigel, has. And they've just been tremendously impactful with our organization.
Sounds good. Gonna keep an eye on it. Well, okay. I don't see any other questions. Anyone have anything? otherwise, it's been a really great year for our tech club. We really appreciate everybody's support. And if you have ideas of future programs, post them, email us, whatever, message us on Facebook, whatever you think. But we'll post the follow-up again from this talk on our Facebook page and on our web page. So just stay tuned for another day or two. But otherwise, happy holidays. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks, Erica. Thanks, Brian and Jim.
Thanks, Erica.
Bye. Thank y'all.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.